presenter in the room. It's a subject which I, myself and I hold very dear to my heart, and that's misinformation. That's something that we at IPA, we've been facing with and dealing with for many years. Time and again, we see articles and publications and headlines about probiotics not being regulated, not being safe. They don't have benefits. As far as I'm concerned, that's the largest misconception that gets put in print or gets communicated. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because if you look closely at the regulations, we published a book on regulatory guidelines from 28 countries this year. I think there's a slew of regulations, not only from a country level, but from a GMP and a manufacturing level. So we know this well as an industry, but how do we get that message out there? The message to get to the communities which are important and make a difference. The healthcare providers, the business people that are working at the ground level, they're the ones who are going to be the ambassadors to the end users. So I think it's an important subject, and we've been kind of working on it. So we needed to get the word out, and the word out starts from many different avenues in media. And one of these, I like to call it sort of educating the educators. So what we did was we had discussions with our next speaker. She's a dean at the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine in Arizona, in the US. And IPA started working on putting a probiotic course together, an accredited course within a university master's program. So it'll be 24 hours of education. And anyhow, I'll present Gena Kadar to give you a bit more information on that and a little bit about what her Master's of Science program is at the college. So please welcome Dr. Kadar.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, George, and thank you for hosting me here today. Excuse me, I just breathed in the disinfectant. So as George alluded to, I'll be discussing how education is working with industry to help drive some real positive change in this space. And interestingly, as I was listening to a number of the speakers earlier this morning, I think what we're looking at here today will address some of the challenges that the industry is facing. And so specifically, we'll look at the impact, the amazing thing that can happen when industry comes together with academia and with clinicians. And I'm going to focus on the master's degree program that George alluded to, and then specifically look at the work we're doing in collaboration with IPA. So the backstory here, if you will, the background that led to this new program is looking really at the academic landscape. We were questioning how, and I've always worked in the health sciences, and with much of a focus on integrative health, integrative medicine. So we worked a lot with the dietary supplement space. And we're seeing the emergence of this multi-billion-dollar industry, and yet from an academic perspective, there was no degree program that really catered to individuals entering this space. And that's quite unique. If you look at any big industry, there's always some sort of feeder degree program that exists to prepare individuals for successfully working in that space. But we did a market analysis, and sure enough, it was missing in this natural product industry, in the dietary supplement space. So two questions followed that then. So if we created a degree program like this, what should that curriculum look like? We didn't have a template to go off of. And then what really are the key knowledge, skills, even attitudes that a leader in this industry should possess in order to have a meaningful impact? And so we sort of playfully looked at this as the unicorn. Does this person exist who has all of this amazing training that positions them day one for success in the industry? So to address these things, First, I just kind of grassroots reached out to a lot of colleagues, a lot of friends in this industry, and then through them established connections to, you know, the real thought leaders, the iconoclasts that started this industry, and leaders who represented many different areas. So we looked at people in the regulatory space, sales and marketing, you name it. And so we asked them some simple questions. One, what did you wish you knew when you first entered this industry? What would have been helpful as you got started? And then we asked them, certainly those who were in a leadership role, CEOs and individuals who are already leading in this industry, what do you look for in new hires? What's missing? What are the gaps? And so out of this, we defined what excellence looked like. We defined that unicorn, if you will, and it revealed some key challenges and opportunities in this space. And so when we synthesize the findings, there are some themes that emerge. First of all, this is indeed a very unique space. Most programs out there, like a conventional MBA program, for example, it's much more broad-based, and there's some very distinctive, unique, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but particularly from a regulatory standpoint, very precise, dynamic landscape that's unique to this industry. The supply chain, or value chain as we're hearing it referred to more often these days, again, very unique considerations in this industry. Certainly the pandemic has revealed some of the opportunities for improvement along the way. Mindfulness and responsiveness to industry trends, new products that are coming out, being responsive to this. Demand for accountability, sustainability. So a lot of these things came out, again, as consistent trends that we were hearing from these individuals we were speaking with. And then this was another standout finding, that many of the leaders in this space were saying when they brought new individuals into this industry, including themselves, many possessed, for example, some maybe possessed a strength and a background in the business space, but then they lacked an understanding of the nutritional sciences. On the flip side, you brought in clinicians and those who had that expertise, researchers in the nutritional sciences, but lacked that sort of attitude and sensibility and instinct for business. And both tended to lack an understanding of the complex regulatory environment. So many of these gaps had to be addressed through real-time, on-the-job sort of piecemeal training. The other issue that we saw, again, repeated from people we interviewed, excuse me, is a lack of real information literacy skills among many individuals in this space. And it's not unique to this industry. We see it actually globally as an issue. But a challenge with translating findings from scientific studies into meaningful product. And to understand sort of how to critically appraise a scientific paper in order to draw an informed conclusion from there. So big picture what we saw, that there was this rapid growth of this industry, but it outpaced the emergence of an accredited academic degree program that could cater to individuals entering this industry or leading in this industry. And so that gap, and coupled with, thank you, the revelation that there really was a need for leaders who are trained in evidence-based decision-making, who have that expertise, who have that regulatory knowledge, the business sensibility, and an understanding of nutritional sciences, that unicorn. We had an opportunity to create a program that could help cultivate this type of leader. There's a few other considerations then that went into this. And this number was something that really sort of poked at my mind. 17 is the number of years that we've seen, and this has been discussed in many different academic papers. The time it takes for, and years, 17 years I should specify, is the average time we see clinical research evidence actually entering clinical practice. And so the thought was, could a program like this that brings together the clinicians, the future leaders, and the academics, could this help accelerate that translation? Could this help bridge that research to market gap? And an important way to do this was having these individuals actually learn together. Now, in healthcare education, we talk a lot about interprofessional education. But interestingly, we looked at, can this model also accelerate understanding and movement in this space by looking at the interprofessional team, not just among healthcare providers, but bringing those industry leaders into that learning environment as well. And the interprofessional education, it's not just being in the same room together, but specifically learning about, with, and from one another. So can that, again, convergence, that meaningful interaction drive this sort of positive change? So when we look at this funnel, bringing all of these entities together, the idea is that we hope we can really accelerate this pace and generate better outcomes in all these different areas. Better quality educational programs, better quality products, and ultimately what we're all working towards is better clinical outcomes, improved health in communities and among individuals. And so this is what led to the emergence of this master's degree. We say it's sort of by the industry, for the industry. And it is truly the first and only accredited master's degree program that caters uniquely to the needs of the natural products industry. It's called the Executive Master of Science in Nutrition Business Leadership. I'll share a little overview to give you sort of a big picture look at the program, and again, then we'll dive into the work we're doing specifically with IPA. By the way, this is a picture of our campus in Arizona. It is quite empty, just like this picture right now, because we are mostly online because of the pandemic, but it is a lovely campus. So this program, it's quite accelerated. Students can earn their degree in just over a year, in 15 months. It is 100% online, except there is an in-person executive leadership experience. It's essentially an intensive weekend where the students come together right before graduation so they can interact in person. I'll talk about that more in a moment. And it is designed for working professionals, and this was such an important piece. We recognized that this was a degree that would cater to individuals who are already in this space for the most part. Many people, when they're in undergrad or entering undergrad, are not necessarily focused on this industry yet. Many people are already working in this field. So having a flexible program delivered online makes it accessible to those already working in this space. The online component, now interestingly with the pandemic, we're all quite familiar now with interacting and learning and working online, but what the beauty of this is it eliminated all geographic boundaries. We didn't have to have someone relocate, reset their life, move to Arizona in order to engage in this program. We can accommodate students from anywhere across the globe. An important thing, though, is the quality. Just because the program is online, we didn't want to sacrifice any of the educational quality or rigor that we would see in a traditional face-to-face program. And so we really leveraged the best available technologies and used an evidence-based framework looking at how adults learn, because most of our students, our average age in our other online program is 37. To give you a sense. And so these are adult learners. How do we engage them in the online space? We say you're online but not alone. A lot of opportunity for interaction. We also have incorporated technology that it's called adaptive learning technology, and it allows us to personalize the learning experience. So for some of the more rigorous courses, it helps adapt how to your method of learning. And interaction is another important piece. Even though it's fully online, each week there's many opportunities to interact with your fellow classmates or with faculty. Now here's where industry has helped benefit and inform academia. So you can't see the detail here, but big picture, much like in the for-profit sector, when you're monitoring and sort of mapping out the experience of a consumer, of a customer, we did that for our students. So we created different student personas. From this one you see on screen, this is we call the excelling learner, the overachiever, probably like many of you sitting here in this room. So how do we keep them engaged week after week? How do we support their learning, their retention? And so we mapped out the life cycle week by week for each student, each of these personas, so we could really support different learning styles through the development of this program. The other thing that is quite unique here is the curriculum. As I said, this is the first and only program like this, and it really targets the specific skills, the knowledge gaps that our market analysis had informed us were necessary for a leader in this space. And there's three main thematic pillars that may kind of inform the different courses in this curriculum. First one is leadership. Next is nutrition and health sciences, so courses like physiology, clinical biochemistry, learning about vitamins and minerals, and then industry-specific regulations and practices. From here, we have a focus in our leadership space, again, a little different than the typical MBA program, for example. The emphasis is on conscious leadership and looking broadly, not just at the bottom line, but looking at social, environmental, and financial impact of decisions, of operations in this industry. That was repeatedly something our leaders in this space told us was so important as they're looking ahead of what a future leader in this space should be prioritizing in their company. So personal, environmental, and corporate sustainability were all emphasized within this program. Personal insofar as looking at how, as a leader, we can be a role model of what we value, what we're promoting. So preventing burnout, for example, learning how to mitigate stress in the workplace. So really walking the walk, if you will, given that we're in a field that promotes health and well-being. There's a number of elective courses that allow students to personalize their curriculum. We recognize people are coming in from many different areas of this industry. So this allows them to sort of tailor their interests based on their personal focus. We also have incorporated that interprofessional education, as I mentioned. So for example, in our foundational science courses, physiology or learning about vitamins and minerals, we have the business students studying alongside our clinical students. And so again, they can learn basically from the business student's perspective. They're actually sitting alongside their customer in the classroom, learning about their needs, learning about what's important to them clinically, which again, that value for both sides is really meaningful. And we have the courses where we see this. We have it both with we have clinical nutrition students that are learning alongside the business. In some of our elective courses, we also have our doctorate students learning alongside our business students. So nice sort of eclectic exposure. Another important element is, as the students in this program are already working in the industry, there's no sort of busy work that you may recall from your own undergrad. We don't have high-stakes multiple choice exams, for example. All of the work, the coursework, is designed to be realistic, relevant, applied, helping students create a portfolio that they can put into practice, use Monday morning, so to speak, in the workplace. So it's really meaningful work that they're engaging in their courses, not just, again, knowledge retention for success in a multiple choice test kind of thing. The executive leadership experience is one aspect of this. Again, majority of this program is online, but this brings the students together. These are some images of our campus in Arizona, and in the middle you can see a picture of Tempe, Arizona as well. So students come together. This is a chance, even though they've been studying together but remotely during the program, they can come together to really help reinforce and consolidate their professional network, meet their faculty, meet experts in the industry, and really sort of consolidate their learning throughout the program. And we are in pretty amazing company with this degree program. First of all, we have exceptional faculty. These are just some examples of our faculty members, but as you can see, each one individually has quite a diverse background and expertise. Many are both clinicians and individuals who've worked in the industry, so they can kind of role model what we're talking about in a meaningful way to these students. We have individuals who have had a profound impact, either clinically or in the industry, working with our students. We're also a member of the Association of Nutrition Departments and Programs. So again, as you can see, many really well-established institutions are members of this. We're very proud of this affiliation as well. And then certainly another thing that's incredibly meaningful is our advisory council. And you can see IPA is front and center there. A lot of the individuals we reached out to at the beginning as we were building this program, we've invited them to serve on our advisory council to help make sure that the content continues to evolve and stay relevant. And each offers different perspectives. Obviously the IPA, we have UNPA as a member, we have attorneys who understand the complexities of the regulatory landscape. We have specific companies, those in marketing, those in manufacturing. So again, a diverse and eclectic representation that have been really key in helping to really inform that the content in our curriculum remains relevant. To give you sort of a little insight into our world, this was our first advisory council meeting pre-pandemic, and it was held at Supply Side, I believe, at Supply Side West in 2019. And this is what it's looked like since. It's been remote, but still just as engaging, and it's been really, again, we meet with these individuals generally quarterly, and has been so very important, again, bringing those industry perspectives together. And on our board, we have clinicians, we have industry members, we have researchers, so they together really help shape and inform and guide our decisions. So, our story here takes us to our collaboration with IPA. And so looking at this funnel, as we've come together specifically with IPA, not only has George as a council member been instrumental in helping inform general direction, we realized, and I'm going to share some data here that really helped us recognize how significant probiotics were and how important it was that we were including this actually in our clinical and leadership curricula. This number is $6.5 billion US dollars. This represents the global market share of probiotics. Number one, the probiotics specifically are the #1 dietary supplement category purchased by consumers on Amazon in the United States. 66% represents the growth in consumer purchasing just since May of 2020 in the probiotics segment in the US. 188% is the growth just since May 2020 in Italy in consumer purchasing. And in China, the number is 108%. So this remarkable rapid growth. If our consumers are purchasing this, clinicians need to be well equipped to talk to them, to provide recommendations regarding probiotics, and the industry needs to be making the right products to meet these needs. This is just a random sampling I pulled of some of the studies then that are looking at the really diverse benefits of probiotic supplementation. This eclectic array of studies here, we see benefits with everything from acute diarrhea to benefiting stroke patients, type 2 diabetes, mental health from depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's, autism. So when we see literature like this, again, we don't want to wait 17 years for this to translate into clinical practice. And so the work we're doing with IPA, there's a few different elements. So for one, looking at some of our core courses, both on the science, the basic science side, and on the industry side, we've infused these topics into these courses. So in the foundational courses, and this is for our clinical students as well as our business, looking at their gastrointestinal physiology courses, their pathophysiology, they're learning here about sort of the underlying science of the gut microbiota, how it influences the general body systems, nutrient requirements, and overall impact of probiotics and the role of probiotics in health and disease. On the business side, this is one example of another course, Innovation, New Product Development and Manufacturing. This is looking more at probiotics through that business lens. So, formulating quality products, safety considerations, everything from quality assurance, consistency, these different considerations, again, are infused into the core curriculum for students. And as George alluded to, what we're working on now, that we're so very excited about, is this course. It's titled Probiotics from Research to Market. And this is a course that is truly one of a kind, and it's really looking at the full life cycle, the full supply chain of probiotics. And so the description you see here is the actual course description. It explores this rapidly evolving field from the perspective of the scientist, the clinician, the manufacturer, and the consumer. So a really broad course that will look at the scientific basis for probiotics, evidence-based applications, and key regulatory considerations as well. So we're very excited to be including this course as a course in this program. And so that is what sort of takes us to the end of the story, essentially the launch of our Executive Master of Science in Nutrition Business Leadership degree. This is a brand new degree program. Our inaugural class will begin October 4th. And so we're incredibly excited to see it finally come to life. And with that, I just want to put out an invitation to anyone in the audience, if you're interested in getting involved. We're always looking for guest speakers, especially people who are working in the industry, who can share experience and practical insight with students. And again, as an online program, regardless of where you're located, you can be in front of the students virtually. So if you're interested in more information to get involved, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you. That's it.